Hello. Well, today I want to talk to you all about Lindsey Vonn. She has been the headlines running into this Winter Olympics, and unfortunately, on the weekend, she drew a lot of headlines because of a major crash. My name is Armchair. I'm a performance coach, and I want to dive into this topic, which is seeing a lot of armchair experts chime in. First things first, I'm awful on snow. I've done one session on a dry slope and spent most of it on my bum. I am not claiming to be a technical expert at all, but this has given us an insight into how many people think they can associate with elite athletes and elite mindsets, which actually don't necessarily have any idea about what performance entails. I want to go into this a little bit, first of all, from the injury side of things. So, if we look at Lindsey Vonn approaching the Olympics, I think it's just over a week out, she suffers a complete rupture of her left ACL, her left leg ACL. Now, this is obviously a cruciate ligament. This is obviously a crucial aspect of physiology. We know that the body requires an ACL. However, it's not like it needs, must, and relies entirely on an ACL. There have been numerous elite athletes who have managed to compete without ACLs. I think it was Dijon Blair. I'm a massive NBA fan or basketball fan. I think it was Dijon Blair who was in the NBA. I'm going to say early to mid 2000s, probably around 2008, something like that. And he was an awesome draft potential until people or some of the teams started realizing he actually didn't have an ACL in his left or right leg. And as a result, his pick actually ended up being 37th pick. I think that's right. And I think he went to San Antonio Spurs. So he was overlooked because of the injury risk, because of the medical issues that surrounded him. He managed to correct his biomechanics. He managed to rely on his quads and his hamstrings to offer a stabilized knee, to adjust his game. He was a big man. He wasn't necessarily a guard or anything like that, but he was a big man. And he adapted his game to perform without an ACL in either leg. As a basketballer, this is a fast, explosive movement event. Now, most of us require an ACL, but most of us aren't elite athletes. You know, we're talking 0.1% of the population. So we can't start looking at physiology and physical capabilities based on what's normal. These are not normal individuals, and that is why they are so phenomenal. So going into this, people saying, "Oh, it's absolutely disgraceful that she's competing without it. It's so selfish. You know, she's taking someone else's space." I think, as far as I'm aware, the late selection rules mean that no one else could have gone in her place anyway. Um, it's not selfish. Did you see those clips of her in training? That's pretty phenomenal. Um, she was definitely with some of the best medics and sports scientists around to see if she could get any kind of performance back. She's not doing this on a whim. This is really, really well thought out. And then I see people saying, "Oh, well, she's doing something which loads of NFL players don't manage to do. So why would she think she could do it?" I mean, that's ridiculous, really. All individual differences, different sports, vastly different careers. You know, if you think of what her sport, downhill skiing, is all built around, that looks slightly different to an NFL pitch. Although I've seen some snowy NFL pitches on TV before, so you can't compare those things at all. And then when we think about, well, how is it even possible? Because she's been training and these players go off for surgery. There's different kind of motivations, isn't there? Really, if you think she retired 6 years ago and then she's turned back up, of course you're going to give the Olympics one more shot. Why not? She's headed into this as number one and number three, something like that, respectively, in her events. So she's not like taking part or anything like that. She is a real firm contender. It's obviously going to be her last Olympics, one would think, at the age of 41. So why not? Absolutely brilliant. This is inspirational. This isn't something that we should be frowning upon. Now, I don't know necessarily where the negative connotations come from. There's been some people claiming that this wouldn't have happened if it was a male, and some people have even stated that there's a male skier who's competing with a ruptured ACL as well. Again, I don't know. It hasn't made the headlines, and that's probably because Lindsey Vonn is awesome, and we all aspire to be awesome, don't we? She's awesome because of what she's tried to do this time round and what she's achieved in the past and her comeback stories. And that's why uh, it gathers so much attention realistically. So going into it, I think that's absolutely fair for her to go and compete. Doing the training run, that demonstrates she went third fastest, I think, in the training run. So again, firmly states that she should be competing. Now, again, I am not a technical skiing expert. This is just coach's eye, but to me, it doesn't look like the root of this stems from a lack of an ACL in her left leg. She takes a jump, looking at the angles and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, maybe there's a tiny contribution. Everything's, nothing occurs in isolation in sport. But it really does look like this was just one of those freak accidents of the sport itself. She clips the post with the right shoulder, obviously puts her off balance, and rotation occurs. I was thinking, oh, maybe it's the way the response was, maybe it's a pelvis fracture. And we now know it's quite a substantially broken left leg, and they had to stabilize it, take it to a different hospital, etc., etc. But there's always going to be contributions from things, and she was probably weighting differently. But realistically, I don't think this has got anything to do with her ACL or therefore lack of. And seeing all these armchair experts talking about, well, we always knew this was going to happen or the way this was going to end, that's absolutely ridiculous, to be quite honest. I don't feel like you know necessarily the sport any better than I do. And even if you do, maybe you don't know the physiology and the mindset differences, etc. But what it did really open up and really demonstrate to me is that people thinking that they can have the same mind, the same pattern of thinking that an elite athlete can have. Again, I tried to do things and I failed miserably. I didn't achieve anything elite. And that's possibly one of the best things I learned and made me a better coach. And that's why I do a lot of coaching now, from novice through to elite. But there was aspects of my performance, the psychology, the mindset bits, which I think I began to possess. And I think I lost that during my time away from sport, knowing just how hard you can push and thinking everyone pushes like this. Whereas actually, it's like there's a series of doors which prevents you from ever reaching your potential. And elite athletes know how to open those doors. And it's definitely easier when it's curated as a younger individual. Teaching that later on, I'm not sure just how far you can get. But I know when I was training, I would go to places, go to levels of pain and exertion, which right now I just can't push there, whether it's unwillingness to go back there because I know what it feels like, or just being able to open those doors. It really takes something. And if I take myself, I'm obviously millions of miles away from being an elite athlete myself. So they know how to go to those depths. They know, they have absolute conviction that they're about to achieve something. She would have stepped off that course when she ruptured her Achilles, talking about me now, ruptured her ACL, and thought, you know what? I'm going to give this everything I can. And I really think I can. I think I can probably do this. And how many millions of other people probably bought into that as well. This is not something that you can just go to the gym and do and have that mindset, or I managed to push out 10 repetitions. It's totally different. There's a series of doors and there's a place in your brain which you engage that is unlike anything else you have ever experienced. This is the elite mindset. Do not think they think like us, because they're a completely different breed, elite athletes. So don't sit there reading other people's comments and buy into it, basically. She was the only one who had the opportunity. It's a one-off opportunity. And she had complete conviction that she could do it. And from the looks of it, from my untrained eye, this had nothing to do with her ACL. This was just the sport at its best, at its worst, realistically. So, there we have it. Performance mindset. It's a real thing. You can't just tune into it. You have to train it. For now, my name's Arj. I'm the head coach here at Performance Physique. I'll see you next time. Cheers. Bye-bye.